Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at an essential piece of safety gear any electrician should have in their toolkit. It's a non-contact voltage tester. Let's dig in. So when does this tool come into play? Say I want to replace an outlet or a switch and the circuit is hot. I go and flip the breaker off and I'm ready to unscrew that cover and dig into the outlet to repair it. I want to make one last safety check to make sure that that circuit is dead and that I didn't hit the wrong breaker, or say somebody else told me the breaker's off and I'm not just trusting them, but I can confirm right there at the outlet as I'm working on it that it is in fact cold, that there's no electricity to it. This does not measure the amount of voltage. It doesn't measure anything except that yes or no, there is or is not voltage. So let's see how that works. Here I have an example. Here I have just an extension cord actually going to one of my studio lights here, and I'm going to turn this tester on. It's going to beep. You're going to see the red, rather green light come on, and as I bring this near this hot wire, it's going to beep. Now you notice as I touched it on one side, it didn't beep. As I touch it on the other, it does. That's because there are two conductors, two wires running through this wire. One is the neutral, one is the hot. And this has to get near the hot conductor. So when we do that, when we go to test an outlet, we want to make sure we probe on both sides of the wire or both wires on an outlet. So when you're working on an outlet where there's a hot, a neutral, and a ground, you could just take your regular multimeter and cross a lead between the hot and the neutral, or the hot and the ground. But say you're working on a light switch where there's just a hot flowing straight through. Maybe there's a switch leg running to that switch and it doesn't have a neutral. You may or may not have a ground, most likely would. But let's say, for instance, we just have a hot flowing through there. We couldn't use our multimeter. This is where this tool really shines. Also, it's really just a handy, convenient way to always check before you open up a circuit, that it's almost so simple you can't not do it. It's small enough that it can fit in a shirt pocket. It is light enough that you don't really notice it there on your tool belt all day long, and you don't have any excuse for not double checking the wire. Let's take a look at this exact tester. This is the Klein NCVT-2. That's non-contact voltage tester, dual range. Let's start by looking at the higher range. This will do from 12 to 48 volts and from 48 to 1000 volts. So the green light indicates that it's set for a high voltage, 48 to 1000 volts. I have an extension cord here, and I'm going to again touch this along my extension cord, and we see that the light turns red and it beeps fast. We also have a silent mode option on here that we can activate. We're going to turn the tester off, and when we turn it on, we're going to press and hold that button till it lights up, and at that point the light will turn red to indicate we have current, but it's not going to beep. This is especially useful in medical settings. Say you're in a hospital or a nursing home and doing work, and the nurses and staff need to be able to hear all the beeps of the equipment and know what's going on, and this is just going to mess with people. So you have that option to activate a silent mode. Then when you turn this off and then back on, it's going to revert back to the audio mode. Let's look at the low voltage side. So to activate that, we're going to press and hold the power button, and it's going to switch over to blue mode. Now I actually had to turn my fluorescent studio lights off because just the frequency, the energy from those was activating that low current, low voltage side. So again, we have this extension cord, and we're going to bring this tester close to the cord, and we're going to hear it beep. As we bring it even closer in, it's going to beep fast. So it's a little bit more sensitive setting. So as we bring this, like I said, just near this conductor, it's going to beep slowly on us, and that's going to indicate that we have low voltage. As we bring it in closer, it's going to beep fast and be solid red. So for my application, I really only use the high voltage setting on this. The low current setting kind of just gets in the way. When you go to use this tool, you want to make sure to test it against a live circuit just to test the tester before you go and test your circuit that you're working on. It does run off 2 AAA batteries, which last quite a while. I've replaced them every few months with the level of use that I use them. I don't use this every single day, but a few times a week maybe. It does have an auto power off function, which is also handy, as the location of the on-off switch, while convenient, does tend to get bumped on in my tool bag from time to time. So thankfully with that auto off feature, it doesn't run my batteries completely dead. It lasts for about 5 minutes. If you don't use the tool for about 5 minutes, it'll shut off. Another thing that I found with this, if you hit it against something, it's gonna beep on you, it's gonna blink on you. That's common with these testers. It's not a malfunction. This is designed to pick up a very, very sensitive signal, and so with an instrument that sensitive, if you give it a good jar, you're going to be able to activate it. It's not saying there's electricity running through my body, although there is. It's not sensitive enough to pick that up. It's just a part of dealing with a real sensitive piece of test equipment. If you spent any amount of time in the trades, you know that these are an essential piece of an electrician's toolkit. Even if you're just a DIY weekender, pick one of these up if you're going to be doing any amount of electrical work. You could probably get by with just a single range for, you know, the 48 volts and up. And I think those testers are just a little bit less expensive than these dual range models. Pick one up. It's a cheap price to pay, some cheap insurance to make sure that you work safer throughout the day. Check out the Amazon links in the description below where you can buy either the dual range model or the single range model. Hit subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about future videos. We'll see you next time.